Hello, welcome back to Project Pixar, and we have my favorite number today, the number 8. This is our 8th film in Pixar's lineup. We are talking about Ratatouille. Noah, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm great. I love this movie, and I can't wait to talk about it.
That's awesome. Well, let's get right into it. Let's go to Paris, and we will start, as always, with our first category, which is, who is your favorite character? Noah, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and go first. Usually, I always want to pick the protagonists, because I just love the Pixar protagonists, but a little spoiler, Remy is actually one of my least favorite Pixar protagonists. And I guess you could kind of count Linguini. But anyway, my favorite character in this movie is Antoine Ego, the critic, also known as the Grim Eater. And I just noticed this most recent watch that his office is actually like in the shape of a coffin, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
And it's funny.
That's awesome.
He doesn't really...
And his typewriter.
He doesn't have much screen time. You know, he's not really even like... He's just kind of like an adversary. He's not really there to like stop Linguini, but he's just so memorable. The voice actor does such a great job. His design is great. Like, the way he says that line, then how could it be popular? Like,
yeah.
The way he chooses words, like, for as little as he's in it, he's incredibly memorable.
Oh, yeah.
Love Antoine Ego. What about you?
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say the protagonist is my favorite character. I do really like Remy. What I like about him is the fact that he isn't like a regular type of protagonist. He has some challenging aspects to his personality that, you know, can come across as unlikable. He's challenging. Qualities like some deviousness, like when he tricks Linguini when he's like getting out of the jar, he's running away, he's kind of laughing about it, he's like, haha, I got away with it. He steals from the kitchen and stuff like that. He falls back to his rat tendencies at times. On the cooking side, he can be egotistical and snobbish to a degree, but what I do like about him is his passion. I know from my own experience, you know, when you're really knowledgeable about something, your passion and your enjoyment of something can come across as snobbish or egotistical, or, you know, for me, like, I have a lot of film knowledge, and a lot of people think, oh, you're just a film snob. I understand it from a personal perspective because, you know, I love movies, and some people would call me a film snob because I have my own opinions, and I express them a lot, and I express my knowledge, but it's just because I love it and I'm passionate about it. And Remy is very much the same way with food. He knows what he knows, and he knows he's good at it, and that can rub people the wrong way, especially like through Linguini. He rubs on Colette the wrong way, and he rubs Linguini the wrong way sometimes. I like that about him, is just that he makes that realization at the end, like, I'm a chef. That's what I'm born to do. So that's what I really like about Remy.
Yeah, great choice. Okay, so I know how much you like this movie, and I like this movie a lot too. This is definitely top tier Pixar for me. But is it perfect? Is there any moment you don't like? What's your least favorite moment?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I can really think of is the way it starts off with, like, how did I get into this situation? Like, he bursts through the window. It's kind of cliche. The opening starts a little slow, and it doesn't really get going until he gets to Paris, I feel. So, because that's when the actual plot really kicks in. Maybe the opening, and then his realization moment it comes off maybe a little bit flat, just because he's at fault with the Linguini relationship. Really, Remy is. His way of apologizing is that he comes back because he's meant to be in the kitchen. It doesn't really feel like an apology to Linguini, other than like, I'm going to help you out because I need to help out the restaurant. It doesn't say per se that he's doing it for Linguini. So
that's a great point. Kind of that whole little section you mentioned, I guess what you would refer to as the all is lost moment, where Linguini finally comes clean, and he explains to the rest of the chefs, you know, this little rat, and he has a really great speech there. And I wonder if they were always just trying to undercut what we were expecting, because maybe we were expecting all the chefs to be like, okay, we understand, and they get behind him, but they all just walk out on him.
Yeah,
and
they all walk out on him.
It's not that that's not realistic. Like, you know, I'm sure in a real life restaurant, if someone said, hey, we should listen to this rat, but I don't know, something about that moment has always just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then Remy himself gets captured, and he's down for like just a moment, but then he kind of like overcomes it pretty quickly. So like, None of
It's
that is
really
bad,
quick, yeah.
but there's something about that part that I've always just like, I don't know. There's just I'm like missing something here.
I totally understand what you mean by that. So, yeah. As far as the animation details for this one, what stood out for you in Ratatouille?
I am not a picky eater. I'll eat almost anything put in front of me, and I take pride in that. I think to me that's a good thing. It's just like,
Yeah.
but I am his brother Emil. I am the guy. I'll just hork it down. I don't care. Oh, thanks. And so this movie made me want to be a chef myself. I hate cooking. I almost never do it. I don't enjoy it. But when I see Remy cook, when I see the animation, it's got to be that montage of when he's trying to escape the kitchen the first time he gets in there, and he runs past it, and he sniffs it, and he looks back.
Oh yeah,
and
I love that.
Throws one thing, and then he can't help himself, and I'm just like, God, it looks delicious when he makes the ratatouille at the end.
Oh yeah,
the sauce around it. And again, I hate cooking. I don't like kitchens. I don't want to put the effort into creating. But gosh darn, if this movie, what some people refer to as like food porn, like Studio Ghibli, does a lot of that. But it looks incredible, and it makes me like, gosh, that looks amazing. So just all that detail around Remy making the food, and again, that one montage of him throwing the different spices.
I love that one.
It makes the mouth water.
Yeah, I love the way they animate Remy in certain moments too. Like when he runs past it at first, and he's like, he just like shrinks down into himself. That's really funny. Yeah, I would definitely say the food is a standout for sure. I'm like, oh man, I really want a bowl of ratatouille. I've never had it before, but it looks amazing. So yeah, that for sure. I really love the look of Paris. It's like the City of Lights, it's beautiful the way they've rendered it in this, and it really felt like this was like the first HD kind of view of like a Pixar film in the sense of like detail in an environment. I feel like it really stepped it up from say Cars, to Ratatouille, the next one. Just a huge jump, and I love like there's little cinematography tricks, like some field of view kind of stuff, and where there's a scene when he's escaping the sewers where he looks like a real rat on this little board, like surfing, and this but if you turn around and look at him, he's got these big, googly eyes and stuff. But yeah, that's for sure. The food is fantastic.
So tell me about your first time memories, the very first time you ever saw Ratatouille.
I wasn't like super hyped for Ratatouille.
Same.
Yeah, but when I saw it with my sister when it first came out, and I remember just like the ending just really hit me. Like, and when I left the theater, it felt great. Like I felt great leaving the theater, and it's definitely to this day, it's in my top 3 Pixar films. I would say for sure, it's definitely one of my favorites, and I love it. It's like another almost desert island type movie for me.
I saw it in theaters, and I was with my girlfriend at the time. And before this one, there was a little preview that mentioned like some of the heads at Pixar and how they had this meeting one time where they got together and do you remember that little preview?
Yeah,
and they hashed out the ideas. And basically what it led into at the end was a preview for WALL-E, because there was a little robot named WALL-E, and it showed like a little clip of him, and that would be the film that would come out the next year. And so that always kind of stuck with me as like, oh wow, this is when they discussed all these ideas. What's this WALL-E? And like you, I was like, it's about a rat. I don't really care. And again, even though he's not one of my favorite protagonists, and normally I'm not a chef, like I loved this film, and I remember just leaving the theater, it was just like, these guys can do no wrong. Like, and especially because the movie prior to this was Cars, which was the first time I was like, ugh, maybe they're not.
They stumbled, yeah.
It was like, nice to see, like, they just picked it right back up. Brad Bird, knocked it out of the park, The Incredibles. Just like, no worries, you drop the ball, I'll grab it, and I'll just run it right back to the goal line. So it's like, okay, never mind. This is like great classic Pixar. So I do remember that very well, seeing it that very first time.
Oh, for sure. And really, also like, I love the music in this movie as well. It's Michael Giacchino, and who did Incredibles and Up. It's probably my favorite pound for pound score that he's done. Even from the opening, I love they invoke the Pixar theme with the national French anthem. That's a great thing, and which automatically sets the mood. And then I love this like kind of jazzy flair that it's got throughout, mixed with the French tones. I love the moment when he's trying out the different foods and how it's with the visuals and the music. It's you got the swirls going and the pow, 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 like kind of thing. And the moment when he first gets to Paris and he's going through the walls and stuff, it's very pitter patter, kind of like
really good like creeping sound. With
the song at the end is fantastic, which also plays like when Linguini is owning the restaurant and stuff. But that one's fantastic with the just sticks in my head. And instrumental part of it went during the chase scene. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, I love this score. How about you?
The moments that stick out to me the most. So the thing is, I guess I don't know why this one just doesn't catch my ear the way like the Incredibles do, because I can hum you the Incredibles theme until you just hummed it right now. I was like, what does the end theme sound like? And then you did. I was like, okay, that's right. But the ending always gives me goosebumps, especially as Ego says, "Surprise me." And
surprise me, yeah.
And then the music swells as it pans up, and you see his rat family up in their little home, and then you see the sign, and the restaurant's called Ratatouille.
Yeah.
It was like, again, goosebumps right now. I just got them. When he's running through the streets of Paris with the document or the birth certificate or whatever it is, and like the flutes and the woodwinds are very jazzy, like there's just, like you said, kind of this almost pitter patter feeling of a rat running. Moments really stick out to me, so that would be my pick.
Next, we need to figure out for dialogue line or joke, anything particularly stand out to you?
So this is one of those ones that I don't quite have the emotional attachment to, which shows you how good it is that I still enjoy it as much as I do, even without that kind of extra emotional attachment.
Yeah.
So there's no like emotional line that gets me, but I love the interview between Anton Ego and Linguini. And when he says, well, you're really thin for someone who eats a lot of, or for who's someone who likes food. And he says, I don't like food. I love it. And if I don't love it, I don't swallow. Great line. And this isn't really a line, but it's a moment. And it's the part that it made me laugh the loudest in the theater. I don't know why it just struck me, but it's when Remy's first discovering he's in Paris and he's pitter-pattering through that. It's like a ceiling or a vent.
Oh, yeah, I love this moment too.
And
yeah, I know which one you're...
Couple, and this woman has a gun on her husband. He's like, you don't have the guts. And he goes past it, and boom, boom, the bullets go off. And even Remy's like, oh my God. And he runs back to look, and they're fighting. And then they just start making out with each other, and he like does this big eye roll. And man, that I had a busted pretty good gut when I saw that in theaters. So those would be my two choices.
I love that moment too. All of Ego's dialogue is fantastic, and the delivery from Peter O'Toole, spot on. Just a couple lines that really that get to me are my last review recommended to the tourist train. I said Gusteau has finally found his rightful place in history alongside another equally famous chef, Monsieur Boyardee. I love that. And then of course his monologue at the end's fantastic. It's a great way to kind of close out the film. And this part in particular, last night I experienced something new, an extraordinary meal from a singularly unexpected source. To say that both the meal and its maker have challenged my preconceptions about fine cooking is a gross understatement. They have rocked me to my core. I love that. Also, the moment with his dad and Remy when they're outside the rat catcher shop. I love that. He's like, we all of our kind, we have to stick out for each other. It's all we have. And Remy's just like, no, Dad, I don't believe it. You're telling me that this and only this is what we have and what we can expect, for the future. There's got to be more than this. And then he's like, where are you going, Dad? The dad's like, where are you going? And I love this line. Remy says, with luck, forward.
I knew you'd pick that. But,
yeah.
yeah, it's a good one.
I love that line.
Yeah,
So,
Can I throw one in too?
Mhm.
It's when
Sure,
he has
sure.
him captured in the glass jar, and he says, "Look, I
Mhm.
can't cook, but you can." And he's just like, he's like, "Don't be modest, you're a rat."
Don't be
But I
modest, you're a
love that
rat,
little.
for Pete's sake.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I was gonna bring that part up too, as far as like humorous moments. And then the the part where they're talking about the different chefs, and he's like, Horst is like talking about all the different things that he did, and he's like, I killed a man with this thumb. Like that whole part. With Colette, the what are you doing? You're freaking me out. I like that too. So yeah, I mean, so many great moments.
Agreed. And with so many great moments, question is, are there any non-great moments? Is there anything you would change about this movie? It's one of your top 3, so maybe not, eh? What do you think?
There is one thing, and it's an overall Pixar thing, especially in this time period that they did, which I feel like is just kind of redundant and maybe a little safe. And that is the opening. It's a television set coming on, and then they explain, like, kind of set up the world, and it's exposition. Yeah, it's how they set up the exposition at the beginning. Incredibles does that. This movie does that, which are both Brad Bird movies. So, and then
that's one of his little tropes he likes.
and then Up does it as well, kind of. So yeah, it sticks out to me a little bit because it just seems repetitive. And I feel like there's a better way to start the film. So, and really, that's about it.
Yeah,
That's all I would change.
I don't have a bit, like I said, that kind of all is lost moment. There's something missing there for me, but I couldn't honestly tell you what.
Would you say it's like some kind of an apology from Remy, like a more forward apology from Remy to Linguini?
Which again is difficult because he's a rat and he technically can't talk to him, so I don't quite know how he would apologize.
Except for coming back to the situation, right, which is what he does.
But you have a good point, is that, you know, it almost does feel like, whereas you're right, Remy is the one stealing the food. Yes, Linguini gets kind of mad at him or whatever, but Linguini then does come back and he does apologize to him. And he says, I'm sorry, you know, I shouldn't have treated you that way. And that is a line that stood out to me too, is when he shoos him, he says, or I'll treat you how rats are supposed to be treated. So, but other than that, like, I don't really have a big flaw with this film. There's little nitpicks. It always stands out to me in the opening when they're escaping the home and they're going into the sewer. This old woman chases them out into the rain on a bridge to continue shooting at a rat. Like, I mean, I get it. She's clearly crazy enough to, like, fire off a gun in her house and, like, destroy her
like
home.
There's some people,
every time
you know.
she chases him out the door, I'm like, that lady is committed to trying to kill this rat. Holy.
I think it's also part of the bit, and it drives the action forward.
Right.
So.
No, I get it. But yeah, so no real major things, just like little nitpicky things here and there. Closing thoughts about the film. I absolutely love the ending segment where all the rats are working together to make the food. I love the big burly rat is sitting there legit, like, just pummeling the
punching
meat. They all lower the spoons, and Remy checks every spoon. Like, it makes the kitchen look appealing, even though in reality it'd be very hectic. You know, this film doesn't get me on an emotional level like The Incredibles, like Finding Nemo, like Toy Story does. But in spite of that, I still really, really love this film. So hats off to Brad Bird and everybody else who was involved in making it, because missing that, I still think it's one of their best films. So that says a lot about it.
Yeah, God, I do. I really, really love this film. It doesn't have the nostalgia that Toy Story 1 has for me in that sense, but I really love this film. And one moment that we didn't really even talk about is the Ratatouille moment when Ego, chows down and it, it zooms out to back to when he was a child, and it just like
he drops his pen and it almost sounds like this massive weight just.
Right, absolutely, yeah, and I just love that thought of like how transformative that a good meal can be and where it can take you to, which is true. Like, you know, it's like, you know, a bowl of Campbell's soup it just fills your soul and brings you back to, you know, when you're a kid. Campbell's, you can pay me. Pay me later. I love that moment. And I love just what they do with Ego's character. The fact that, like, the next time that when you see him at the end, he's found like a new lease on life and a love for food.
I think that's why that character is so good, because that moment shows you that even though he's like a jerk the reality is he just wants good food. And so when he gets it, he will appropriately assign praise. And yes, this place deserves to be praised. And true, he kind of reminds me of like Bob Parr from The Incredibles, that like, let's not celebrate mediocrity, let's elevate that which is truly spectacular. And he will do that. You just have to be truly spectacular.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about this film, and I would never want there to be a Ratatouille 2. You can leave this as it is. So.
Please don't. Yeah, Ratatouille 2, back in the kitchen, or some nonsense like that. Please.
Oh man, out of the frying pan, right?
Oh, gosh, something like
Ratatouille 2, out of the frying pan and into the oven.
Yeah, gets 2 paws, whiskers up from me. That is Pixar's 8th film. Next, we'll be going to their 9th film, which, as we kind of hinted at earlier, will be WALL-E. So thank you very much for joining us. Let us know what you think, and we will see you next time. Bye.